Mark chapter 1. This is the beginning of the good message about Jesus, the Anointed One, Almighty's Son, as recorded by Mark. Just as it has been written in the prophet Isaiah, notice, I am dispatching my messenger before your face, who will construct your road. Malachi 3 verse 1. The voice of one crying out in the wasteland, you must make ready the road of the Master. You must be making his highways straight. Isaiah 40, verse 3. John came immersing in the wasteland and proclaiming immersions after a change in thoughts and feelings for the forgiveness of wrongdoings. Now the entire province of Judea was going out to him, and all those from Jerusalem, and they were being immersed by him in the Jordan River, confessing their wrongdoings. Now John had on clothes made of camel's hair, and a wide leather belt around his waist, and ate locusts, Leviticus 11, verse 22, and wild honey. Now he was proclaiming, saying, There is one coming after me, who is stronger than I am. The strap of his sandals I'm not fit enough to stoop and release. I have immersed you in water, yet he will immerse you in the pure Spirit. Now it occurred during those days that Jesus, Yahweh, Savior, came from Nazareth in Galilee, and was immersed in the Jordan River by John. Then, immediately as he stepped up out of the water, he noticed the heavens split, and the Spirit descending upon him like a dove. Then a voice came out of the heavens, You are my dearly loved Son, with whom I am delighted. Then immediately the Spirit put him out into the wasteland, and he was in the wasteland for 40 days, undergoing testing by Satan, the adversary, and he was with the wild beasts, and messengers were waiting on him. Now after John had been delivered over, Jesus went into Galilee, proclaiming the good message about Almighty. Now after John had been delivered over, Jesus went into Galilee, proclaiming the good message from Almighty, saying, The time period has been fulfilled, and Almighty's kingdom is already drawing near. You must be changing your thoughts and feelings, and be believing in the good message. Then, as he passed along beside the Sea of Galilee, Lake Gennesaret, he noticed Simon, Peter, and Andrew, Simon's brother, throwing a throw net in the sea, for they were fishermen. Then Jesus said to them, You must come on after me, and I will make you become fishermen of humans. So they immediately left their nets and followed him. Then he advanced slightly and noticed James, Zebedee's son, and John, his brother, who were also in a ship mending their nets. Immediately he called them, and they left their father Zebedee in the ship with the hired men, and went away after him. Then they entered Capernaum, and immediately on the Sabbath day, Saturday, he entered the assembly and began teaching. Now they were astonished at his teaching, for he was teaching them like one who had authority, and not like the Bible scholars. Then immediately there was a human in their assembly with an unclean spirit, and he yelled out, saying, What do you want with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Did you come to destroy us? I'm aware of who you are, the pure one from Almighty. Now Jesus rebuked him, saying, You must be still, and must come out of him. Then after the unclean spirit threw him into a convulsion and shouted with a loud voice, it came out of him. Now everyone was shocked, so that they discussed among themselves, saying, What does this mean? This is a new teaching with authority. for he is even giving requirements to the unclean spirits, and they are obeying him." Then immediately the news that was heard about him went out everywhere into the whole country around there in Galilee. Then immediately after they came out of the assembly, they went into the home of Simon, Peter, and Andrew, with James and John. Now the mother-in-law of Simon, Peter, was lying down because she had a fever, and immediately they told him about her. So he approached and took hold of her hand, and woke her up, and the fever left her, and she began waiting on them. Now after evening, 6 to 9 p.m., had come, when the sun had set, they began bringing to him all those who had an illness, and those who were possessed by demons, and the whole city had gathered at the door. Then he cured many who were ill with various diseases, and threw out many demons, and he wasn't letting the demons speak, because they had noticed who he was. Then he rose up very early in the morning, while it was still in the night, or dark, and came out and went away into a wasteland, and began praying there. Now Simon, Peter, and those with him tracked him down. Then when they had found him, they said to him, "Everyone is seeking for you." Then he said to them, "Let's go elsewhere to the next towns, so that I might proclaim there also, for that's why I came out." So he went and proclaimed in their assemblies throughout all of Galilee, throwing out demons. Now a leper came to him and encouraged him, falling on his knees and saying to him, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." Now he felt compassion for him and stretched out his hand, touched him, and said to him, "I'm willing, be made clean." Then immediately the leprosy went from him, and he was made clean. Then he grumbled to him, and put him out immediately, saying to him, "You must see that you tell no one, but you must go and show yourself to the priest, and take the things that Moses has prescribed for your cleansing, as a testimony to them." Yet when he went out, he began to proclaim much about it, and to affirm the word far and wide, so that no longer, under any circumstances, could Jesus plainly enter into a city. Rather, he was outside in the wastelands, and they were coming to him from everywhere. Mark chapter 2. Now when he entered again into Capernaum, during these days, it was heard that he was in a house. So many gathered, such that by no means was there still room, not even at the door, and he was speaking the word to them. Now they came to him, bringing a paralyzed person, who was lifted by 4 men. Then, when they weren't able to bring him to him, because of the crowd, they unroofed the roof where he was, and when they had scooped it out, they lowered the stretcher on which the paralyzed person was lying. Now, when Jesus noticed their faith, he said to the paralyzed person, "Child, your wrongdoings are forgiven." Now, there were some of the Bible scholars sitting there, and they were reasoning in their hearts, "Why does this person speak like this? He is slandering. Who is able to forgive wrongdoings except one, Almighty?" Then immediately, when Jesus recognized inside his spirit that they were reasoning like this in themselves, he said to them, "Why are you reasoning these things in your hearts? Which is easier, to say to the paralyzed person, 'Your wrongdoings are forgiven,' or to say, 'Get up, pick up your stretcher and walk'? Yet so that you might notice that the Son of Humanity has authority on earth to forgive wrongdoings, he said to the paralyzed person, 'I say to you, Get up, pick up your stretcher, and go to your house." Then he got up, and immediately when he had picked up the stretcher, he went out in front of everyone, so that everyone was amazed and esteemed Almighty, saying, "We have never noticed anything like this." Then he went out again beside the sea, Lake Gennesaret, and the entire crowd was coming to him, and he was teaching them. Then as he passed by, he noticed Levi, or Matthew, Alphaeus' son, sitting in the tribute or tax office, and he said to him, "You must be continually following me." So he rose up and followed him. Now it occurred that as he was lying down at the table in his, Matthew's house, many tribute or tax collectors and wrongdoers also began lying back at the table together with Jesus and his students, for there were many who were following him. Then when the Bible scholars of the Pharisees noticed that he ate with the tribute or tax collectors and the wrongdoers, they began saying to his students, "Why is he eating with the tribute or tax collectors and wrongdoers?" Then when Jesus heard this, he said to them, "It isn't the ones who are strong who need a physician, but rather those who have an illness. I didn't come to call those who are just, but those who are doing things that are wrong." Now the students of John and the Pharisees were fasting, and they came and said to him, "Why do the students of John and the students of the Pharisees fast, yet your students don't fast?" Jesus said to them, "The friends of the bridegroom can't fast while the bridegroom is with them, can they? Whatever time they have when the bridegroom is with them, they can't fast. Yet the days will come when the bridegroom shall be taken away from them, and then they will fast on that day. No one is going to sew a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old outer garment. Otherwise, the new part that fills it up is definitely going to lift some from the old part, and the split is going to become worse. Also, no one is going to drain fresh wine into old wineskins. Otherwise, the wine will definitely burst the wineskins, and the wine is going to be spilled, and the wineskins will be destroyed. Rather, fresh wine is put into new wineskins." Now it occurred that he was going along through the grain fields on the Sabbath day, Saturday, and his students began to make a path, plucking the heads of grain. Then the Pharisees were saying to him, "Notice, why are they doing something that isn't allowed on the Sabbath day?" Now he said to them, "Haven't you ever read what David did when he and those with him were in need and hungry? How he entered into the house of Almighty under Abiathar, the chief priest, and ate the presentation biscuits, which aren't allowed to be eaten except by the priests, and also gave them to those who were with him?" Then he was saying to them, "The Sabbath day occurred because of humanity, and not humanity because of the Sabbath day, so that the Son of Humanity is the master even of the Sabbath day." Mark chapter 3. Then he entered again into an assembly, and a human who had a withered hand was there. Now they were keeping close notice of him, to see if he would cure him on the Sabbath day, Saturday, so that they might accuse him. Now he said to the human who had the withered hand, "Get up in the middle of us." Then he said to them, "Is it allowed on the Sabbath day, Saturday, to do good or to do bad, to save or to kill a sentient being?" Yet they were silent. Then, after looking around at them with anger, being deeply sorry about the callousness of their hearts, he said to the human, "Stretch out your hand." So he stretched it out, and his hand was restored. Then the Pharisees went out, and immediately began holding a consultation with the Herodians, members of Herod's political party, against him, about how to destroy him. Then Jesus departed with his students to the sea, Lake Gennesaret, and a great multitude from Galilee followed. Now when they heard how much he was doing, a great multitude came to him from Judea, from Jerusalem, from Idumea, from the other side of the Jordan River, and from around Tyre and Sidon. Then he told his students that a boat should be waiting for him because of the crowd, so that they might not be oppressively pressing against him. For he had cured many, so that whoever had afflictions were falling towards him in order to touch him. Now, whenever the unclean spirits were gazing upon him, they were falling down before him and yelling, saying, "You are the Son of Almighty!" Then he was warning them many times not to make him apparent. Then he ascended onto the mountain, and called those whom he was wanting, and they went away to him. Now he appointed the 12, whom he also named dispatched envoys, to be with him, and to be dispatched by him to proclaim, and to have authority to throw out demons. Now the 12 whom he appointed were Simon, on whom he placed the name Peter, or piece of rock, James, Zebedee's son, and John, James' brother. And he placed also on them the name Boanerges, that is, sons of thunder, Andrew and Philip and Bartholomew, Nathanael, Matthew and Thomas, James the little one, Alphaeus' son, and Judas Thaddeus, and Simon the Canaanist, and Judas the Iscariot, the one who also delivered him over. Then they went into a house, and the crowd came together again, so that they weren't even able to eat a biscuit. Now when his relatives heard about it, they went out to take hold of him, for they were saying, "He is deranged," or crazy. Then the Bible scholars who had descended from Jerusalem were saying, "He has Beelzebub, lord of the house, Satan, and he is throwing out the demons by the chief of the demons, Satan." Now he called them to him, and began saying to them in illustrations, "How can Satan throw out Satan? Now if a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom isn't going to be able to stand. If a household is divided against itself, that household won't be able to stand. If Satan rose up against himself and was divided, he couldn't stand, but would have a completion of his power. But no one can enter into a strong person's house to seize his items, unless first he ties up the strong person. Then he can seize things throughout his house. Truly I say to you, the penalties for the wrongdoings and the slanderings will be forgiven the sons of humanity, whatever they should slander. Yet whoever slanders against the pure spirit has no forgiveness even to the last age, but is liable to the penalty of the last age, destruction for the wrong. For they were saying, "He has an unclean spirit." Now his mother and his brothers and sisters came, and standing outside, they dispatched someone to him to call him. Now a crowd was sitting around him, and they said to him, "Notice, your mother and your brothers and sisters are outside seeking you." Now in response to them he said, "Who are my mother and my brothers and sisters?" Then, looking around on those who were sitting around him, he said, "Notice, my mother and my brothers and sisters. For whoever is doing what is wanted by Almighty is my brother and sister and mother. Mark chapter 4. Now again he began to teach beside the sea, Lake Gennesaret, and a crowd of a great many gathered around him. So he stepped into a ship in the sea to sit, and the entire crowd was on the land, facing the sea. Then he began teaching them many things in illustrations, and was saying to them in his teaching, "You must be continually hearing me." Notice, the seed planter went out to plant seeds. Now it occurred in planting the seeds that some fell beside the road, and the birds came and devoured it. Now some fell on the rocky place, where it didn't have much earth, and immediately it shot up, because it didn't have any depth of earth. So when the sun rose, it was scorched, and because it had no root, it dried up. Now some other fell into the thorns, and the thorns came up and stifled it, and it didn't give any fruit. Now some other fell into ideal earth, and began giving fruit, coming up and growing, and was bringing in 30 and 60 and 100 times over. Then he was saying, "Whoever has ears to hear must be continually hearing." Then, when he was alone, those who were around him, together with the 12, began asking him about the illustrations. So he was saying to them, "The secret of Almighty's kingdom has been given to you, yet everything occurs in illustrations to those outside, so that they shall keep on observing, but shall not have any awareness, and they shall keep on hearing, but shall not understand, so that not at any time shall they turn back to me and be forgiven." Isaiah 6 verses 9 through 10. Then he said to them, "Don't you have any awareness about this illustration? How then will you know all the illustrations? The seed planter plants the word. Now some are the people beside the road, where the word is planted. Now when they hear it, Satan, the adversary, comes immediately and takes away the word that has been planted in them. Now some, likewise, are the people who are on the rocky places, on which the seeds are planted, who when they hear the word, take it immediately with joy. But since they don't have any of its root in themselves, they are temporary. After this, when oppression or persecution comes because of the word, they are tripping immediately. Now some others are the people among the thorns, into which the seeds are planted. These are the people who hear the word, but the concerns of the age, the enticement of riches, and the desires about further things come in and stifle the word, and it becomes unfruitful. Now some are the people who are on the ideal earth, on which the seeds were planted, who are hearing the word and are accepting it, and are producing fruit 30 and 60 and 100 times over. Then he was saying to them, "The lamp isn't coming in so that it might be placed under a peck-sized container, or under a couch, is it? Isn't it placed on a lampstand? For nothing is hidden, except to be made apparent. Nor has anything become concealed, but to become apparent. Whoever has ears to hear must be continually hearing." Then he was saying to them, "You must be continually looking out about what you are hearing. That measure which you are using to measure others, it will be used as a measure for you, and additional will be added to you. For whoever uses what he has, more will be given to him, and whoever doesn't use what he has, even what he has will be taken away from him." Then he was saying, "Almighty's kingdom is like a human who throws seed on the earth. Then he lies down asleep and gets up night and day, and the seed germinates and lengthens, though he isn't aware how. The earth spontaneously produces fruit. First the blade, after that the head, and after that the full grain in the head. Now when the fruit can be delivered over, he immediately dispatches the sickle, because the harvest stands by. Then he was saying, how shall we compare Almighty's kingdom, or in which illustration shall we place it? It is like a mustard kernel, that when it is planted as a seed on the earth, is smaller than all the seeds of those on the earth. And when it is planted as a seed, it comes up and becomes greater than all the vegetables, and makes great branches, so that the birds of the sky can roost under its shade. So with many such illustrations, he was speaking the word to them, just as they were able to hear it. Yet he wasn't speaking to them about an illustration. Yet privately, to his own students, he was explaining everything. Then on that day, when evening, or 6 to 9 p.m., had come, he said to them, let's go across to the other side of Lake Gennesaret. So they left the crowd and took him along in the ship that he was already in, and other ships were with him. Then there occurred a great whirlwind, and the waves were spraying into the ship, so that the ship was already loaded. Now he was in the back of the ship, lying down asleep on the cushion. So they woke him up and said to him, Teacher, don't you care that we are being destroyed? So he got up and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, Be silent, be still. Then the wind dropped off, and it became very calm. Then he said to them, Why are you cowards like this? Don't you have any faith? Then they were afraid, with a great fear, and began saying to one another, Who therefore is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? Mark chapter 5. Then they came to the other side of the sea, Lake Gennesaret, into the country of the Gergesenes. Then, when he came out of the ship, immediately a human from the tombs with an unclean spirit met him. He had a home among the tombs, and no one was able to keep him bound any longer, even with a chain. For he had often been bound with shackles and chains, and he had pulled the chains to pieces, and crushed the shackles, and no one was strong enough to tame him. All the time, night and day, among the tombs and on the mountains, he was yelling out and gashing himself with stones. Now, when he noticed Jesus from a distance, he ran and worshipped him. And yelling out with a loud voice, he said, What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High Almighty? I command you by an oath to Almighty that you must not torture me. For he was saying to it, You must come out of the human, you unclean spirit. So he began asking it, What is your name? Then it said to him, My name is Legion, for we are many. Then it began encouraging him many times not to dispatch them out of the country. Now there was a great herd of hogs grazing near the mountain. So they encouraged him, saying, Send us to the hogs, so that we might enter into them. So he permitted them to do so. So the unclean spirits came out and entered into the hogs, and the herd of about 2,000 rushed over the cliff into the sea, and were drowned in the sea. Then those who were tending the grazing animals ran away and reported this in the city and in the fields. So they went to see what had occurred. And they came to Jesus and gazed at the person who had been possessed by the legion of demons, sitting down, wearing garments, and sensible, and they were afraid. Now those who had noticed it related to them how it had occurred to the person who had been possessed by demons and about the hogs. So they began to encourage him to go away from their boundaries. Now as he stepped into the ship, the person who had been possessed by demons began encouraging him to let him come with him. Now he didn't let him, but said to him, "You must go to your home, to your people, and report to them what things the Master has done for you, and how he had mercy on you." So he went away and began to proclaim to the 10 cities region, Decapolis, what things Jesus had done for him, and everyone was marveling. Then, when Jesus had gone across again to the other side of Lake Gennesaret in the ship, a great crowd gathered where he was, and he was beside the sea, or lake. Now one of the assembly chiefs, named Jairus, came, and when he noticed him, he fell at his feet, and encouraged him many times, saying, "My little daughter is having her last gasp. Come and place your hands on her, so she might be saved and live." So he went away with him. Now a great crowd was following him, and oppressively pressing against him. Then a woman who had a hemorrhage, a discharge of blood, for 12 years, and had suffered many things under many physicians, had spent everything that she had, and had benefited nothing, but rather had become worse. When she heard things about Jesus, came in the crowd from behind, and touched his outer garment. For she was saying, "If I can just touch his outer garment, I will be saved from my illness." Now immediately her spring of blood dried up, and she knew in her body that she had been healed from the affliction. Now Jesus immediately recognized inside himself that power had gone out of him. So he turned around in the crowd and began saying, "Who touched my outer garments?" Now his students were saying to him, "You observe the crowd continually oppressively pressing against you, and you say, 'Who touched me?'" Then he was looking around to see who had done it. Now the woman, being aware of what had occurred to her, was afraid and trembling, and came and fell down before him, and told the entire truth. Now he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has saved you from your illness. Go in peace and be healthy from your affliction." While he was still speaking, they came from the assembly chief's house, saying, "Your daughter has died. Why bother the teacher any longer?" Yet Jesus disregarded the words spoken, and said to the assembly chief, "Stop being afraid. You must only be continually having faith." Now he didn't let anyone follow with him, except Peter, James, and John, James' brother. Then, when they came to the assembly chief's house, he gazed at a turmoil, and much weeping and screaming. So when he entered, he said to them, "Why are you making a turmoil and weeping? The little girl hasn't died, but is lying down asleep." Then they began ridiculing him. Yet when he had put them all out, he took along the little girl's father and mother, and those who were with him, and went in where the little girl was. Then he took hold of the little girl's hand, and said to her, "Talitha cumi," which after translation, from the native language of Mid-Easterners, means, "Girl, I say to you, wake up." Then immediately the girl rose up and began walking around, for she was about 12 years old. Now immediately they were amazed with a great amazement. So he cautioned them many times that no one should know about this, and he told them to give her something to eat.